I have spent my entire life refusing to sleep in any hotel with even the mildest reputation for the paranormal. I am by nature a professional coward.
Don't like that at all.
And yet tonight, I'll be locking myself inside one of the world's most terrifying places. Footsteps.
I hear like an echo of footsteps behind me.
Disembodied whispers. And a presence that actually reached out and touched me.
Something just touched my shoulder.
All I had to do was get through one night on the world's most haunted ship. This is the Queen Mary, a 1930s era ocean liner that has a little bit of a reputation. It's the most haunted ship on planet Earth. And tonight, I'm going to try and spend a night on board and see if I can manage it. What could go wrong? The Queen Mary was built in the 30s as a luxury liner. Then the war arrived and she became the Grey Ghost, a giant floating taxi for Allied troops between Europe and North America. It's fair to say the ship has had its fair share of incidents. A few unfortunate collisions, a crushing in the boiler room, and maybe a drowning or two in the pool, and roughly 49 recorded deaths. Not a particularly good track record for a floating palace. And that apparently is enough to produce an entire postcode of restless souls, all determined to make noise and generally irritate the paying guests. These days, the Queen Mary is a floating hotel sitting in Long Beach, California. But it's a hotel where you're not necessarily guaranteed a good night's sleep. Now, before I go and get checked in, I've got a little bit of a confession to make. I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, right? I have a lot of history. I grew up in a house that had a lot of activity in the centre of Leicester, an old building, and it freaked me out for life. To the point that I've had jobs before where they've tried putting me up in hotels and I've refused to stay in them because they've had a reputation as being haunted hotels or whatever. It's earned me a lot of people laughing at me over the years, and to this day, I am so freaked out at the prospect of even setting foot in somewhere that might have any sort of paranormal activity going on. I am petrified. And yeah, I'm doing it on my own as well. All right, here we go, getting on board the Queen Mary. Wish me luck. All right, I'm all checked in, heading up to my room on deck 4. So this is actually a 1930s era ocean liner. As you can see as you walk around, creepiest music playing. This makes the atmosphere really weird. But it's been turned into a hotel. So it's just like it was in the 1930s, which makes it feel really creepy as well. We'll go and explore it first. We're going to go and check out the room first that they've put us in, see where they've put us for tonight. Why am I doing this? So I'm in room M17, down here. This is weird. Okay, M17, this is me. Wow. Okay, this is my room, where I'll be staying the night tonight. We've got, we'll have a wander around in a minute and see what's here. Oh God, that freaked me out. There's a TV on. I saw somebody moving on the TV. Flipping heck. This is weird. Okay, so this is a room. I've got an opening porthole apparently. I am creeped out legitimately already. Everything is just weird. Right, so let's see what we got here on board the Queen Mary. We've got a TV behind me, as you can see. Then down here we've got sort of really old built-in kind of units. This is not, this looks creepy. It's like a heat thing, but like a fireplace thing, but it looks a little bit creepy. And then we've got the bed right just here. The mirror, we don't look in mirrors in places like this. Thank you very much. And then we've got like a little desk area here. Bathroom. Look at that bathroom, that's very retro, isn't it? And then through here we've got like a, what's this bit here? Oh, it's like a living room area. Okay, so this is like a living room with another bathroom through here. Genuinely not a bad sized room, actually. I do have to say, I've stayed in many rooms that are smaller than this, and like on boats you wouldn't expect big rooms like this. This is a mini suite, and for the price it's paid, actually, for an LA hotel room, this isn't too bad. It's like $200 a night or something if you last the night, and it's got a lot of retro charm in this room. Maybe a little too much retro charm, I don't know. I've bought some stuff as well. I'm turning into Zach Bagans, and I bought a little bit of ghosty stuff with me as well, so that we can leave stuff kind of run in and pick stuff up and try and figure out what's going on. I think, honestly, genuinely, I might have sort of underestimated just how it would feel being on my own in a room like this. I was thinking, if I get here in daylight, I can sort of have a look around and I can have a wander around and I can not feel so freaked out. Genuinely, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now. I am quite legitimately bricking it right now, just being here on my own, and I'm starting to think that I might not want to do some of these little experiment things that I've set up. I don't know. Is that going to be tempting too much? I don't know. Let's go and have a little wander around the ship. We're going to figure out what is actually going on here, maybe learn a bit about the history of the ship as well as we do it. I think genuinely right now I'm just craving other human contact, because right now, being in here on my own, it's a little bit creepy, if I'm honest. You know, spending the night on a haunted ship probably isn't the smartest idea for someone who's been terrified of ghosts since childhood, really, but here we are. I grew up in a house in Leicester. It was really, really haunted. Some really nasty energy there. I saw a lot of things that nobody believed. My parents saw a lot of things that nobody believed, and my grandparents as well, when they came to look after, also saw things. My dad once had a tin of baked beans thrown at his head in the kitchen. That tells you kind of where we're at, really, in terms of that, and that's why it's freaked me out for so many years. That fear sort of stuck with me my entire life, and even now, being here tonight, every creak in the corridor or bang outside is sending my heart racing. But I guess what's interesting is how differently I handle that fear these days. A while ago, I probably would have let it spiral, overthinking, imagining the worst, unable to switch off completely. Through therapy, I've learned how to sit with that fear, understand where it comes from, and to try and not let it take control. Easier said than done, I know. But that has been one of my biggest breakthroughs, realising that a fear of something doesn't have to define me, who I am. And that's why I'm proud to have BetterHelp as the sponsor of this video. A licensed therapist will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from new perspectives, whether it's anxiety, fear, or just the chaos of everyday life. BetterHelp makes starting therapy really simple. You just fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch anytime at no extra cost. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform that you can trust. Head to betterhelp.com/Noel or click the link in the description to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/NOEL. So I've just looked at the map of the ship that they've given me, and apparently right above this room is the ship's playroom, which is one of the most haunted rooms on the whole ship. Apparently you can hear children playing and screaming and laughing up there. I have heard kids, but I think it might be other guests. I don't know. That room creeps me out, by the way. I don't know why it's a separate room, but it's not a separate room. It's sort of a separate room, but it isn't. So this is the original first class travel bureau. This is where the passengers would come, and what would they do? They'd book more trips. They'd sort of book all the travel arrangements and stuff through here. This is the equivalent of the desk on the Royal Caribbean cruise, I guess, where you book your excursions and stuff. But there you go, look at that. Wow, just perfectly preserved. So this ship then was built in 1936 as an ocean line between sort of London and New York. Just that's what it used to be. Then during World War II, they turned this into a troop ship, and it had 60,000 odd troops on it. After World War II had finished, then it went back to being a passenger liner again, and it used to do the routes again, like the modern Queen Mary does, I guess, to New York. The week-long cruise, like the one that Jeb Brooks did, where he goes from sort of Southampton across to New York. And that's it, really. And it was retired in the 1960s and came here. That's when they started noticing there was something not quite right with this place. So having established that the upper decks of this old boat are mildly unsettling, it's time to head down to the basement, or as they call it on board, the engine room.
This is creepy. I'm the only one down here, and it's an engine room of a ship. It's just weird. It's such an atmosphere about it. It's crazy. I mean, it could be worse. I could be staying in the LA Adventurer Motel tonight. At least there's marginally less risk of me getting shot tonight.
From there, I headed downstairs further to the boiler room, which, as I later found out, has a little history.
It is seriously cold down here. The temperature has dropped massively. I don't know whether it's all the metal around as well, but it just feels really, really oppressive. Oh shit. I'm not going in there. Should I go in there? What is up there? That's weird. There's like an escalator going up there. That's weird. Just in the middle of the ship.
I should point out that right here at this exact moment I had absolutely no idea of the significance of the area that I was in at door 13.
I thought I heard something behind me. I could hear like an echo of footsteps behind me. Something just touched my shoulder. I just felt something touch me here. That was freaky. I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable for a minute. That was weird, right just here. There was nobody there, literally. I didn't brush into anything. I'm in the middle of this big hallway. Okay, I'm getting out of here. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. Do not like that, right, okay.
So it turned out that the door I just walked through, door 13, is a little bit famous. Back in 1966, an 18-year-old crewman called John Pedder was participating in a routine drill. Long story short, the door closed a little bit quicker than he expected, and he was unfortunately killed by the closing door. Now, Pedder is apparently one of the ship's most reliable ghosts. Witnesses often report footsteps, a shadowy figure, and sometimes a little tap on the shoulder, which, given the circumstances, seems like a rather polite reaction to what he'd gone through.
Oh, I've seen this bit. This is apparently as well one of the most haunted bits of the ship. This is the propeller bay. This is where this is seawater here, and the propellers and everything are all just sort of down here. Apparently, this is where a lot of stuff happens in this room. A lot of the videos I've seen where they've picked up activity and stuff has been right here. Gosh, there's a propeller down there, you see that? Right, so this is the other end of that escalator then, I guess, or it's another one down. It's the one that we saw earlier.
And so, having thoroughly antagonised the ship's mechanical ghosts, it's time to move upstairs to the less greasy but a little bit more terrifying part of the boat, B deck. I was headed for the infamous room B340. This particular cabin is so thoroughly haunted that the management had to completely board it up for 30 years. I suppose they realised a violently murdered guest isn't that great for the hotel's TripAdvisor rating.
So I'm heading now to room B340, which apparently is the most haunted room on the entire ship. It's a room where apparently somebody was murdered in there or something. You're not a ghost, are you? That's what a ghost would say though, is it not?
Not as far as I go.
This is how freaked out I am on this thing. Right, okay. Alright, so this is it, B340. It looks like it's a room that you can't actually stay in. It's just a kind of blocked off room now. I remember seeing a video where somebody stayed in this room, so maybe nowadays you can't actually stay in the room. I don't know whether you want to, as everybody comes here. It's so cold down here, gosh. Freezing. And this room, apparently lots of nasty things happen overnight. People feel a presence in there, they feel people touching them, there's doors slamming and all sorts of things like that, things moving around in there. It's a very active room apparently. I do not want to stay in there. No way. I am getting freaked out just standing here at the side of it, if I'm honest. That's creepy, man.
I found out later that day that they have actually put this room back into service, and perhaps more alarmingly, someone was actually booked in there that night. All I can say is rather them than me.
You know, the weirdest thing about this ship is these corridors feel like something straight out of The Shining, which really doesn't help the kind of creepy vibe whatsoever. So up here on the sun deck then now, towards the top of the ship, and honestly, it feels an entire world apart from where we were down in the bowels of that ship. And honestly, the further up you get, the more opulent it gets and the more fancy it gets, and the more you start to forget that you're actually on a 90-year-old ship. You still, every now and then, there's a reminder. I mean, look at these smokestack things behind me. It's like something off the Titanic. Look at that. Can I just say though, it does not seem a very wise idea to have a racquetball court on the top deck of a ship. I mean, like, your ball's gonna go flying, isn't it, if you're not careful, especially if it's a windy day. You just need one whack of your ball a little bit too firm, it's going to go straight over the edge.
Up here it's a world away from the engine room's greasy dread and the low ceilings of passenger terror. It's open, it's got fresh air, and rather interestingly a nice clear view of a very nice looking hotel nearby. However, this is the Queen Mary, and on this ship you are never more than 20 feet away from something utterly miserable. And wouldn't you know it, just over here,
the isolation ward, which I'm guessing is like where they would have put people who were very poorly, either when they were sailing as passengers on the ship or when it was the military ship. This looks creepy as heck. Do I go down there or not? I really want to, but equally there is not a single other person down there. I ain't going down there on my own, I'm sorry. Sorry, not after the engine room thing. That just has a bad vibe about it straight away.
So it turned out that this room wasn't just for passengers with a mild case of the sniffles, it was used to quarantine people with smallpox, yellow fever and typhus. But beyond the infectious diseases, it was also used to lock up stowaways and during the war, even prisoners of war. So genuinely, I think the plan for me tonight is to eat, because I'm starving, try and sleep. I don't know how much sleep I'm going to get. In the morning I'll be flying out of here as fast as I can, more than likely, and no, I don't have any intention of repeating that at all. But you can get this amazing Eat, Sleep, Fly, Repeat, as well as a ton of other amazing merch on my merch store, which is at noelphillips.com. Link is down on the screen right now. Check it out. Try and make this a little bit worthwhile for me anyway, staying on somewhere like this. Right, it's time to go and do this little paranormal tour of the ship and see if we can freak ourselves out even more. Let's go. But before I deal with the prospects of seeing even more terrifying things than I had already, there was the small matter of preparation. This is not for pleasure, of course. This is a vital piece of field equipment designed to swap genuine debilitating panic for a state of, well, indifference really. With the sun setting over Long Beach, things were about to get real.
Alright, it's time to go and get freaked out properly because we're going to go and do this paranormal tour. They're going to take us to the creepiest areas and stuff, and I am legitimately a little bit freaked out. I've never done anything like this in my life.
So feeling mildly petrified, it was time to head to the first stop on the tour, an abandoned bar.
So this area here is like some sort of abandoned bar or something. It was like a bar back in the day, and apparently this has been home to quite a few sightings of people, including a barman once was stood here and somebody came and ordered a drink and he turned around and she disappeared right here.
Now, let's be honest, at some point most of us have bought a lady a drink and had her disappear shortly after. It's a fairly common human experience, but here on the Queen Mary, it's apparently something a little scarier, rather than just an indication that you should have worn a better jacket.
I do have to say, being in a group of 30 people makes this a little bit less scary than wandering around on my own, so I'm glad I did it as a tour, rather than just try and come after dark and do it myself. It's still a little creepy in places though. I'm trying not to be the last one in anywhere.
The next stop then was a bar with a fairly politically incorrect painting on the wall, which I can't quite show you here, but it used to be the most exclusive venue on the entire ship.
Right, so I'm in the veranda ballroom, which is again another closed off area of this ship. Apparently people a lot of the time feel tugging on their clothes and stuff like that here. It's a bit creepy, but not in a bad way. It doesn't feel bad, it's just knowing that that might happen. Then it's already happened to me today, so.
Next up was the Britannia Salon, the former second-class lounge, but a very popular space. Aside from being right over the ship's mortuary, it was on several occasions the last place people were seen before disappearing off the edge of the ship in the middle of the Atlantic. Many ghostly goings-on have been spotted in this room, including here by the windows.
Actual tours that have been here apparently have heard knocking at these windows in this area right here. People have seen apparitions of guys and ladies walking around here who apparently had been on the ship and sadly lost their lives. It's very chilly in this area. I mean, maybe it's because we've got all these windows down the side, but it is much colder in this section than it is over towards the middle of the room. It's a beautiful space, but it's very eerie.
Just a couple of weeks before my tour, a tour group that was in here heard a tapping at the windows at the side of this room. When they went over there, they discovered that the windows were right on the edge of the ship. There's not even a deck outside, and this kept happening for the entire time they were in there.
Right, so we're heading to the first class pool area, which is supposedly the most active area of the entire ship. Lots of things down here. I've heard all about it. I've seen the videos, read about it. Now let's go and experience it.
Yeah.
And yep, as we entered the pool area, the most haunted area of the ship, I caught that on camera. Not a single one of us in the group heard it at the time, but playing it back, it's clear that someone, or rather something, wanted our attention. Once again, not a single other person heard that, and considering that everyone on the tour was jumping at the slightest strange noise, if it had been audible, someone would have said something.
This is pretty creepy. I've not seen anything. Don't know whether the video will show anything, but this is apparently it. Gosh. Slightly creepy.
The main attractions here are the ladies. You have figures seen wandering the dressing rooms and the balconies up above. And then there's Jackie, a young girl thought to have drowned here who apparently still likes to play. So you're not just dealing with the typical miserable shuffling grown-up ghosts, you're dealing with spectral children, which, as any parent will tell you, is a terrifying prospect. From there we head down to the very nose of the ship.
So we're heading down into the very front of the ship now. Down here, this is very dark, very creepy, but also apparently very scary because right here, on a voyage in World War II, this boat ploughed accidentally into another boat, and this was the bit that obviously went straight through the other one, and a lot of people lost their lives. So, yeah, this is apparently lots of people have seen like soldiers and stuff down here. It's all a bit creepy.
So now thoroughly creeped out even more by the paranormal tour, it was time to head back to my room, solo, and spend a night on the Queen Mary.
Alright then, so here we go. This is the bit that I have been dreading like all day. I'm absolutely bricking it right now. That didn't help me at all. That tour has just freaked me out even more. And after feeling what I felt earlier on as well, down in the engine room, I'm like, okay, it's proved to me that maybe there is something, because there was nobody else there. It's still creeping me out. That anyway, it's time for me to get to sleep. Maybe get some sleep. I don't know whether I will sleep or not. I'm not going to lie. I am planning to sleep with the lights on tonight. I am being a bit of a girl tonight, and I'm going to sleep with these lights on. But before I go to bed, I need to show you what I've bought with me that will hopefully show something. Because in true Zach Bagan's Ghost Adventure style, I have bought a few bits and pieces along with me. I did bring this. Now, this is a spirit box. I don't know if you've seen them, if you've watched these ghosty paranormal things before, but basically it's like a little radio receiver thing. But I was going to sit and do something with it, and then I thought, you know what, I'm actually too scared to. Okay, so I'm guessing that any spirits here are the Weekend fans. No, that's not. I need to. Right, we have to sweep. We have to do a sweep with it. Apparently, this just sweeps through and does like tells you if there's anything there. I am not going to play around with this tonight, genuinely, because genuinely,
I am a bit scared to do that. But what I have got is some bits that we are going to use. We're going to use some of these. I brought some balls with me. So these things basically detect motion. So if you place them somewhere, like I'm going to place that on the bed here, if it detects motion, this will flash. If I just move and tap it, it'll flash like that. I've got a few of those. I'm going to place them around the room and we're going to film overnight. While I'm sleeping, I'm going to film the bedroom. Aside from those, we got one of these bad boys. This little bad boy here detects motion and it detects EMP apparently. So if something goes near it, it will flash. So the idea is you place this somewhere and it flashes and beeps if it detects somebody near it. Let me show you. So you see at the moment, it's got that. If I move my hand near it, it does that as stuff goes near it. My plan is to place this somewhere overnight, probably down near the doors over there. And if it detects any motion around it, then it will start going off. If that goes off in the middle of the night, I am going to be bricking it, literally. So maybe I'm freaking myself out too much with this stuff. But anyway, this stuff is going to go there. And then I've got 2 little DJI action cameras I'm going to place. One I'm going to place down here on the floor. One I'm going to place in the creepy room next door because that room creeps me out and there's something off in there, I think. So I'm going to place these on the floor. All right, let's go and place these bits and pieces around them. And then I'm going to bed and we'll see, well, sort of what happens while I'm in bed. Let's go to the creepy room first. So I've plugged it in with the USB cable. So it hopefully will run. It reckons for 14 hours. We'll place this down sort of here, I guess. And we're going to place this, I think, down here on the floor somewhere. Now what I'm going to do is place it down here between the door, the entrance door, the door to this creepy bit, and the bathroom door, and the bedroom is here. All right, then here we go. I'm leaving the lights on overnight because I'm that petrified. I've got my Noel Phillips eye mask. You can get that in the merch store. That's the plug there. But yeah, I'm using that tonight out of necessity because I need to get to sleep. And with all the lights on, well, it's going to be difficult to get to sleep. But with the lights off, it's going to be difficult to get to sleep. So kind of hybrid solution. We'll have the lights on, eye mask on. I'll see you in the morning. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and get some sleep. Maybe. Good night. Well, at least sleep was on my mind because then just before 1 o'clock in the morning, this happened. And then a few seconds later, this. I have just heard the beepy thing go off down there. That's kind of shit. That's kind of creeped me out quite a bit. That was creepy. That was creepy. Jeez Louise. And as well as the puck going off and scaring the living daylights of me, every little bang and noise on the ship sounded 10 times louder. Eventually, after nowhere near enough sleep, it was time to call it a night. Oh, good morning. I don't think I slept at all. All sorts of weird noises. Every little noise was waking me up overnight. Little bangs, little taps, little knocks. Sure, I've heard people talking and stuff as well. It's creepy. And then that thing going off as well. Genuinely, I want to get the heck out of here. I've had enough. I'm a YouTuber. Get me out of here. Not the best night's sleep, I have to say. I think the biggest issue is that, like, every little bang, every little knock, every little run of water or something wakes you up because you're in that heightened state of sort of alert. So I don't know whether a lot of it is sort of psychosomatic or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. The puck thing going off at stupid o'clock, that freaked me out, genuinely. That did freak me out a bit. But then I think I sort of just kind of rolled back to sleep from that. Genuinely, I think a lot of the vibe that you get on this is because of everything that you hear about it. And maybe that's what makes it feel worse than it is. It's a metal building. And we all know if you're in a metal building, EMF and stuff that messes with your brain is really heightened. It's a scientific fact. So it could be that is what's going on here. And it's just all the metal that's making you sort of think a bit more sort of along those lines. But you know what? I'm glad to get out of here today. I'm going to go and check out now. And I'm looking forward to getting back to Houston. And maybe I'm going to sleep on the way back as well on the flight. I plan to work, but maybe I could do with a nap on that flight after last night. But we've done it. Let's go and get checked out. There we go then. That was the Queen Mary. Is it the world's most haunted ship? Well, let me know what you think down in the comments. And would you spend a night on here as well? I'd love to hear. Let me know down below. In the meantime, I'm off home to hopefully get some sleep. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.